Former Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan has enraged MAGA once again by recently appearing on Fox News to talk about how disappointed he is in having Donald Trump as the Republican nominee.
I think if in a country with 350 million people, this is the choice we have. I, like the majority of Americans, wish we had a different choice than the ones than one we're being presented with. I think they're terrible choices that we're being presented with. And that's just the fate of that's what the primary voters selected. And I regret the fact that that's where we are. I voted for him in 2016, hoping that there was going to be a different kind of person in office. And I do think character is a really important issue. If you put yourself above the Constitution, as he has done.
But what happened?
I think that makes you unfit for office.
Was the whole January 6th thing?
That's a part of it. I think it's a contribution of factors, but I think it really is just character at the end of the day.
You know what's weird is that I actually kind of agree with Paul Ryan on one thing. Both parties not exactly sending their best when it comes to being president. And look, y'all know that Joe Biden was not my first choice. Yes, I'm going to vote for him. Yes, I do believe that it's a tactical harm reduction choice. You can criticize me if you want on that, especially. And look, you'd be right to, because currently the government is funding a genocide in Palestine. And so if that's something that turns you off from Joe Biden, I totally understand. Which again, the thing that I'm doing is I'm going with what is the most harm reduction. Now, harm reduction still means that there's harm. And pointing out that Biden is doing harm in Palestine by supplying the Netanyahu government with 2,000-pound bombs that they're dropping on tents, that's perfectly valid to point out. And perfectly, and I think, yes, you should be angry about that. I'm angry about that. At the same time, I understand the limitations of our system and how we are unfortunately presented with only two choices. And so that sucks. Sucks to be us. Okay? It does. Now, that said, getting back to Donald Trump, who, by the way, would be even worse than the Palestinian issue, would even be more bloodthirsty and allow for more destruction and death in that region. So let's be pretty clear about that. Let's be honest about that. How Trump would end up being worse for Palestinians. That said, let's go back to what he said about what turned you? Was it January 6th? He said, well, that's part of it. What was the other part? Well, Trump put himself above the Constitution. I think you're kind of underplaying that whole thing. I mean, again, January 6th, Donald Trump tried to overturn the election and seize power using fake electors, okay? He had fake electors at the ready to declare him the winner, even though he hadn't earned those votes. There was a conspiracy, okay, to keep Donald Trump in power. Now, it failed the first time. Trump supporters want to make sure that it doesn't fail the next time. So I think that Paul Ryan is weirdly downplaying the danger that Trump represents, okay? So, let's go to Project 2025, right? That argues for unitary executive theory, which would give the president expanded massive powers, okay? And Trump knows this, and back in 2019, he claimed that Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution grants him the right to do whatever as president. Yikes. And in court, his lawyers have argued that he could, if he wanted to, murder his political opponents and get away with it. If he wanted to, just, drop a bomb on Joe Biden. That's what he would want. That's what he could do. He believes that. So I think, Paul Ryan is definitely underselling the danger of Trump. Now, he thinks, naively in my case, that our system is strong enough to withstand it. I don't agree with him. And I don't want to take that risk. That said, I want to go to video of Paul Ryan responding to Trump's attacks and him being called a rhino.
Fealty to Trump is what rhino is, meaning if you don't pledge fealty to this man, then you are a rhino. It used to mean a liberal Republican versus a conservative. I'm a conservative Republican. He's a populist. He's not a conservative. I want to see someone who has fidelity to principles. I would prefer a party that is based on principles not personality or populism. This populism is untethered to principles, and that's why, I'm an anti-establishment Republican.
So, look, again, he makes a good point, okay? About the Republican Party, it is a cult of personality. Paul Ryan also is correct in the fact that he is a conservative. He is very, very conservative, all right? So let me give you refresh you, I should say, in the policies that Paul Ryan believes in. He supports eliminating the capital gains tax, the corporate income tax, the estate tax, the alternative minimum tax. He voted to deregulate the banks. He voted to get consumer protections regarding credit card plans. Wants to cut welfare, child care, student loans, privatize Social Security, privatize Medicare. That's just on economic issues. On social issues, he's very anti-choice, pro-privatized schools. He is a climate change denier. I mean, when it comes to being very conservative, his policy positions are extremely right-wing. This guy is saying Trump's not a conservative, and he is correct. What Trump is that he is a wannabe authoritarian fascist. That's what he wants. He wants ultimate unchecked power. And yes, he does believe in conservative positions like no taxes, right? Mainly because that's no taxes for himself, okay? But when it comes to, like, I don't know, certain policy positions, like, I don't know, let's give the people a bone because they'll love me. Well, that's the only reason that he'll do it, is because I want my voters to love me, while I also use the government to stuff my pockets. All right, so that's the ideology that Trump believes in, okay? And that's why, again, he does say some populist things and does sometimes do popular things. Very, very rarely, though. All right, so, and one of the things that I point out to is some of the, one of the commutations, for example, where, he was Alice Johnson, he pardoned her, and did a little bit of criminal justice reform. That's good stuff. A little ironic now because he is a convicted criminal, but again, maybe that was a little bit more foresight than him being populist. But again, the vast majority of Americans do want criminal justice reform. They were against some of these free trade deals. Donald Trump canceled some of or at least canceled TPP, although he also does do other free trade deals. And so, that involve parts of TPP as well. So, but anyway, that said, policy-wise, Donald Trump, more populist, conservative, populist right-wing than actually conservative. So Paul Ryan, correct. So now that said, Trump's not a liberal either, okay? And let's be very clear, even though he's not a conservative, he's not a liberal, he's charismatic right-wing populist, feeding into mainly hate, paranoia, and conspiracy theories. He also has the Republican Party establishment by the balls. In fact, Paul Ryan's like, I'm not an establishment Republican, I'm an anti-establishment Republican. Well, what is the establishment now? It's Trump. By definition, Trump is establishment because he was the president of the United States for 4 years. So, yes, he's part of the establishment. So that said, he's got the rest of establishment Republicans by the nuts. Even Mitch McConnell is cozying up to him. Case in point, here comes Representative Troy Nehls, who had a complete meltdown on social media. Here's what he said about Paul Ryan. Quote, Paul Ryan, you're a piece of garbage. You're a piece of garbage and we should kick you out of the party. Don't go spouting your mouth off and saying that you're a conservative. You're spitting in the face of the leader of our party. I mean, grow up a bit. You know what I'm talking about? Grow up a bit. All right, bro, you just proved his point by having an absolute Twitter meltdown. Look, I'm not going to say that Paul Ryan is garbage, right? On policy, he's terrible. He's an extremist. But at the same time, when he starts to make sense about where the Republican Party is, I mean, that's how you know things have gotten to just a terrible point in time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.